Sorry for the interruptions. Sorry for the interruptions. So I've been explaining that the journal entry now that we need the labor portion, the indirect labor portion that is going to be employed to that billboard that is being manufactured, it is 165. So we then need to be in a position to come up with that journal now. We now need to take from that pool now of the manufacturing overhead, 165, to the work in process inventory now. So when we place the 165 into the work in process, it is now going to join with the direct labor. It is going to be combined with the direct materials. So the only component that was left now in order to come up with the total cost of producing the billboard now, it was the indirect labor now in order to be employed to come up with the total cost. So when we credit the manufacturing overhead and debit the work in process inventory, we'll then be in a position to come up with our total cost of producing the billboard. We'll then be in a position to come up with the total cost of the billboard. So you can actually see that the journal entry to move work in process to cost of finished. So when each job and the job number cost sheet have been completed, an entry is made to transfer the total cost now from the work in process inventory to the finished goods inventory. So we are now, our total cost, they are totaling to 931. That's the total production cost of producing that billboard. So when we are through now, when we are complete with our job, we then need to move that cost now to the finished goods inventory. We then need to move now to clear that account of work in process inventory to finished goods inventory. So we've got the scenario that we have accumulated our costs now from the different accounts into the work in process inventory. So when we are finished with our good production, we then need to clear that account, the work in process account, because we are no longer having anything that is being manufactured because we are finished with the production. So we need to take those components now to the finished goods inventory. So you need to clear that account. Yes, initially it was having a debit balance. To clear it out now, you then need to credit it and debit finished goods inventory. Are we clear on that? Anyone who is not clear on that, would you be in a position to show by raising your hand? Anyone who is left out, or we have got some gray areas? Anyone who's got some gray areas on this aspect before we move on to the next level? Anyone who has got some gray areas? Panepasari wato now to talk clear at that time. So are we on the same page that we can be in a position to proceed? Are we on the same page that we can be in a position to proceed? Perfect. So I can actually see that, yes, Nyasha? So you can be in a position to see that when our goods have been moved into finished goods into the, when they have been moved into the finished goods, in order to move them now to the income statement, we need to clear that finished goods inventory account by crediting it and debit the cost of goods sold account. When you you debit the cost of goods account, you are moving now your goods to the income statement. You are moving your goods to the income statement in order now to have your margin so that you can be in a position to come up with the selling price. So that you can be in a position to come up with the selling price. So we have cleared the finished goods inventory. Our goods now, they are our goods now, they are now settling into the cost of goods. So your basic accounting, it tells us in order to come up with our gross profit, you then just need to subtract sales. You need to subtract the cost of goods sold from the sales. That's when you can be in a position to come up with your gross profit. So in our scenario, our billboard, in our scenario, hello Nyasha, could you be in a position to mute? Nyasha, could you be in a position to mute? Thank you, Nyasha. So, as I've been saying that in order now to sell your products, the selling price, your sales, when you subtract the cost of goods from sales, that's when you can be in a position to come up with your profit. So when the sale is okay, the goods are transferred to the buyer. The product is transferred from the finished goods inventory to cost of goods sold, as I've been illustrating earlier on. A corresponding entry is also made to record the sale now. So the sign for job number MA C001 is a sales price of 2,000 and the cost of 931. The cost it is accumulated because we have accumulated direct labor, direct materials, and indirect labor to come up with our cost of 931. So this cost, the accumulated cost of 931, that was the cost that was incurred in order to manufacture our billboard. So our billboard, if we're selling it at 2,000, so the difference between 2,000 and 931, that will be our margin. That will be our margin. So the total entries which we are going to employ, we are going to debit cost of goods sold as we are clearing the finished goods inventory, and then to record the sale of job number MA3001. And then in order to come up with our sales now, the sales, you credit the sales and debit accounts receivable. So your basic background of accounting, it tells that when we are to recognize a sale and if we haven't sold anything, it is going to be placed into the accounts receivables because we haven't received any money yet. We haven't received any money yet. But in the scenario that our debtor now would have paid or would have sold the product, we would then be in a position to clear off the accounts receivables into our bank account so that we will be in a position to get the money now. But in this scenario, the amount 2,000 will still settle into the accounts receivable. It will settle into the accounts receivable. Oh, sorry for interruption. My slides are failing to move. I'm trying to shift my slides. Oh, just a moment. Let me just get your assistance so that I can move my slides. I don't know what happened with my. Just a moment. Okay, I'm back again now. So basically what I've been saying that we are having the 931, that is the amount, the actual amount of the cost of production, which was combined by the direct labor, indirect material, and the direct material. That is the accumulation, which is 931, which is 931. Which is 931. Okay, thank you very much for that instruction. Thank you very much. Which is 931. So as we proceed now, as I've been highlighting earlier on, if you make a sale of 2,000, having the cost of goods sold 931, the difference now will then be your, the difference will then be your gross profit. So you can actually see what is happening now. The resulting accounting is shown on the company's income statement, going over applied overhead. At the end of each year, the manufacturing overhead is analyzed, and an adjustment entry is made to dispose of the under or over applied overhead. So can you actually see now how Daniel Sobino income statement looks like now? We've got the sales, the cost of goods sold 931 to make a gross profit of 1,069. To make a gross profit of 1,069. To make a gross profit of 1,069. Is there anyone with a question on that before we proceed? How you have managed to trace your, how you have managed to cost your job from the requisition of material from the storehouse, warehouse, up to the selling price, to the selling position, up to the selling position, up to the selling position. How you have managed to journalize your costs up to the selling position. How you have managed to journalize your costs up to the selling position. How you have managed to journalize your costs up to the selling position. Is there anyone with a question on that? So you have seen that we have allocated the indirect costs, but how do you be able to allocate the indirect costs now? The computation of predetermined rates and apply overhead costs to work in progress. So you can actually see that the job order costing system maintains an actual direct materials and direct labor for each individual job. Since production consists of overhead, indirect materials, and indirect labor and overhead, there is need to have a methodology of applying that overhead now. A predetermined overhead rate is established prior to the beginning of the fiscal year and typically is not changed during the year. The predetermined rate is calculated as shown and used to apply the overhead cost to work in progress. So you can actually see how then you then proceed to come up with the predetermined overhead rate. It is estimated budgeted overhead cost. The estimated budgeted overhead cost, that will be the cost which you have thought that we do during the course of this year, we are going to have so much electricity expense. Having that bill now, you then be in a position to divide it by the expected overhead level of budgeted level of activity. So when we are saying that we are anticipating to have 4,000 bill of electricity, but then we need to produce 1,000 units within that particular year, we can then be in a position to say 4,000 divided by 1,000 units, that will be represented by the level of activity. You can see that our predetermined overhead rate will then be $4. Our predetermined overhead rate will then be $4. So the overhead in the we've got a scenario of the overhead in the movie industry. You can just go through that. Determining the estimated overhead cost. The estimated or budgeted overhead is the amount of overhead determined during the budgeted profit I highlighted earlier on. Examples of manufacturing overhead costs include materials, indirect labor, manufacturing utilities, and manufacturing equipment like depreciation. Another way to view it is overhead costs are those production costs that are not categorized as direct materials or direct labor. I have explained all this. We then need to come out with a scenario how we can be in a position to compute predetermined overhead rate relating to dinosaur. So it is a dinosaur uses expenses from prior 2 years to estimate the overhead of coming year to be 250,000. So you can actually see that 250,000, it has been done in such a scenario that they've accounted for indirect labor, indirect materials, utilities, depreciation, insurance, interest expense. That was 250,000. So their production level of activity, it was 100,000. You see now. So if you say 100,000 divided by the 200 overhead expenses they are anticipating, you can actually see that they come up with it $2.50 per direct labor $1. So the 250 per direct labor $1, that's the overhead absorption rate. So if we say we have got the over the financial year period, the actual cost, you can actually see that we have used $30 for the direct labor, and for the direct labor of those guys who have been doing design material, and those guys who have been doing the assembly, it was $36. So that's the reason why we are saying our direct labor, it was totaling $266. So if you employ $2.50 now, multiply by the $66, that's when you can be able to come up with the 165. Can you actually see how you have come up with the 165? Can you actually see how we have come up with the 165? That's the reason why we have to take the 165 from the pool of resources of 4,000 indirectly labor to be in a position to allocate it to the production of the billboard. To be in a position to come up with that, to come up to the production of the billboard. If we all understood how we came up with the 165, it was $30 for the sign, for the direct labor for the sign, and $36 for the direct labor for the assembly. And then the 66 now, we then need to multiply it by the overhead absorption rate of $2.50 in order to come up with the $165. Are we on the same page? Are we on the same page? Have you understood, Nyasha? Have we understood how we came up with 165? There's someone who is asking how we came up to 165. Are we on the same page, or anyone who can explain? Or anyone who can explain how we came up with the to 165? Are we on the same page? Or anyone to explain how we came up with 165? How we came up with 165? On how we came up with 165, we are only left with the 2 minutes. We are only left with the 2 minutes. Are we on the same page? Are we on the same page?
Maybe you can correct me. To come up with 165, we say the predetermined overhead rate times our overhead, which is
Okay, you are quite right. In order to come up with our indirect labor, we have calculated our predetermined rate of $2.50. We have been using the labor, isn't it? So our labor now, it was 66, our direct labor. We then need to say 66 multiplied by $2.50. That's how we came up with the $165. That's where we came up with the $165. Are we clear with that? So it's 3 o'clock. Thank you very much for attending the lecture. We are going to, next week, we are going to just have a summary of the job order posting, and then we back on budget. And then we back on budget. Budget is one of a typical examination chapter which you should be in a position to take seriously. With my experience of last semester, the students they did not do well on budgets, so you need to be very vigilant on that chapter. It is a chapter that I'm going to take you through so that you can be in a position to understand each and every step. I'm going to employ the Excel models of budgets so that you will be in a position to get it right. Thank you very much for attending the lecture. See you in the next lecture. All right.